Hello, my friends. Welcome to Walking with J.Beau. I'll try not to get eaten by a dog. Today is October 1st, and it feels like an October 1st day. What do I mean by that? Well, the high temperature today, well, right now it's 61 degrees. The high temp today was 62. It's chilly. Damn chilly. And it's going to be in the 60s tomorrow as well. But then we're going to go back in the 70s. I'm going to get 2 days next week in the mid 80s. Can't even believe it. Well, there you have it. That's okay. It's been warmer than normal. It's been nice. Today is a normal October temperature. We'll make it. So anyway, got a few things to talk about today. Kind of interesting. The first thing I'm going to talk about is President Trump's sense of humor. He's the troll master, okay? Nobody trolls other people like President Trump does. And it's so nice to have a president with a real personality, I should add. So, we still have that car here that's not moved. Hasn't moved an inch. 2 months. That car has been there for 2 months. Unmoved. So anyway, President Trump posted a meme that somebody made with Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, and Jeffries was wearing a sombrero with a Mexican mustache that they tried to pin as racist and offensive. And what the meme was saying, and you know, Democrats can't meme, for one thing. They don't understand the humor. So what they did is they don't understand that the Democrats want illegal immigrants. So when they freak out over this meme and everybody sees it, most normal people will get the joke. And all they're doing is they're spreading Trump's message that the Democrats want illegal immigration. And they can't figure that out, I guess. So that's why Trump does that, because he knows they're going to bite on it and make headlines with it. And they did. So Trump posted another one. This time with Hakeem Jeffries crying about it to the media, saying how racist it is. So then you have a whole bunch of Trumps come up behind him. AI, of course. Wearing sombreros and playing Tijuana brass type music. I mean, that's freaking hilarious, okay? I don't care who you are. And that's just funny stuff. Democrats don't have a sense of humor. They make everything racist, which actually makes the point better for Trump. Hi. And so I thought that was really funny. So he knows that the media is going to cover that, and they're going to talk about immigration, because that's what he's doing that for. So this reminds the public why they voted for Trump. And it also tells them, it reminds people why the Democrats lost. because they supported illegal immigration, and they're still doing it. And they're still doing it by causing the shutdown. So this is all brilliant by Trump, because he didn't put any words with it. He just posted the video. It's awesome. And that's why the Democrats are so terrible on messaging. They absolutely cannot figure out how to get around that, because they're so used to having the media control everything for them. And now we use the media to our advantage, knowing that they're going to make a big deal out of this stuff when it really isn't a big deal. The other thing the White House did is the official White House YouTube made a loop video to repeat over and over again all of the times that Democrats have come out and said how horrible government shutdowns are, and how whoever causes a shutdown is the one to blame. So it's an endless loop, which has Chuck Schumer saying the government should not shut down, both parties should do the right thing and keep it open, things like that. All of these past clips, because these people have been here for 20, 30, 40, 50 years in Congress. There is plenty of video and audio from them. Just like the other one circling this week of Hillary Clinton when she was running for the Senate, as well as Bill Clinton when he was president, saying exactly everything Donald Trump says about the border, immigration, people that come here illegally should be deported, Americans shouldn't be losing jobs to illegals, we need to deport. So people really saw those videos when Elon Musk posted it on his social media platform, which has millions and millions and millions of views now of Democrats when they were sane. So Democrats are going to lose the culture war. They're losing it now, and some would argue they've already lost it. So we are in very strange times where the media has lost their bite for Democrats, and it's a beautiful thing. So today I'm going to do 5 miles, maybe 5.5, and I got to talk about something really serious. You see that right there? Secure elections. Yes on one, voter ID, secure elections. Well, the Maine Wire reported a story today I am very upset about. And you should be as well. I'm going to turn the camera around. Hi everybody. So the story that was reported is that a woman in Maine placed an order on Amazon. She had a stack of paper plates in the box, an imitation Star Wars lightsaber, and a bag of Chinese rice, and she was sent 5 shrink-wrapped, professionally shrink-wrapped bundles of Maine election ballots. 5 bundles of 50. That's 250 ballots, obviously sent to the wrong person. Maine Republicans are absolutely furious, as well they should be. the Maine Republicans are demanding a federal investigation with the Department of Justice because we have red flag laws on the ballot, and we have voter ID on the ballot. Two very big election issues. So how does a random Maine person ordering on Amazon receive a box that has 250 ballots in it that are only supposed to be sent to city clerks and official election people? How does a seller on Amazon even get those ballots to put in the boxes? That's impossible. Amazon doesn't sell ballots. They have nothing to do with our elections, or so one would think. So this may be the beginning of a very big news item nationally that is just breaking locally here. And we all know Shanna Bellows, the Secretary of State. She sued to have RFK taken off the ballot. The Maine election ballot. Not the primary ballot, the election ballot. She failed. The courts overturned her. RFK ended up pulling his name voluntarily. Which then she couldn't sue to make sure it stayed on it. When she sued to have him removed from the ballot, it was to help Joe Biden. So those votes would go to him. And then after Trump partnered with RFK, she probably wanted to go back the other way, and it was too late. But anyway, he removed himself from the ballot, and she allowed it. She could have argued it and filed a lawsuit, like some other states did, right? Because they knew it would help Trump. So anyway, she's a far-left extremist from Massachusetts. She's not even from Maine. Now she's going to be running for governor. She has announced she's running, so she is running. Don't know if she's the candidate yet, but she wants the job. And that's why she kicked Trump off the ballot, because they want people to earn their bones, okay? They want to earn their bones with the Democratic Party in Maine and be a fighter. Because she had political aspirations, and that's why she did that. And to her credit, it was probably successful with Democrat voters who hate Trump. So, now we get 250 ballots showing up in a rather beat up. That's the other thing too, this box was unusually beat up. It was not like an Amazon box you would get. It clearly looks like the box was reopened and then resealed. So I'm wondering if somebody is intercepting the mail, or if this cheating is being done at the post office. So that's why we need an investigation, because it is clearly obvious something improper is in fact going on. Because none of this just happens, okay? There's no way to get 250 ballots in an Amazon box purchase to begin with. So either it's a Chinese seller, Communist Party, who was smuggling ballots illegally with counterfeit ballots. Now, I didn't say if the ballots were counterfeit. They looked authentic, and they are bundled the same way that ballots are bundled when sent to city clerks. That's been verified by the Maine Wire. So everything looks up to snuff as far as legal ballots. So how did they get in an Amazon box? How can that even happen? So obviously something dishonest happened. But by who? And why? Now, I'll be fair. Okay, I'll be fair. Okay, I don't want to say, you know, I told you I'm going to have a new policy on here. I'm just not going to automatically blame Democrats. This could be very well activists that want voter ID passed in Maine, and they're conservatives. So they're going to cheat in the election to make sure it happens. I'm just going to throw that out there to be impartial, okay? That possibility is there, obviously, but unlikely. So now we have this going on, right? And what are we going to do about it? Well, I called Shenna Bellow's office earlier. The standard person that answers the phone wasn't giving me answers, and she said, let me transfer you to somebody else. So the person I talked to was basically PR, public relations. She's apologizing. She's saying that it's being investigated. The police are investigating. I said, what police? That's very important. You know, is it a federal investigation? Local police? Is it the constables in her town investigating it? I want this investigated. I don't want Barney Fife from a 500-person town to investigate it. I want the DOJ and the FBI to investigate it. Even the state police in Maine would be sufficient because they are nonpartisan. So she couldn't give me an answer. I said, well, that's the same answer that the media got when they tried to find out as well, I told her. I said, you need to have press conferences, you need transparency. This is very serious. I said, it's a very big deal. This isn't something that's just gonna go away. The election is coming up in 33 days. This has to be resolved before the election, because I told her, I said, what happens if voter ID loses on the ballot? People are going to blame Shenna Bellows for cheating. And I said, that's the consequences for removing candidates from the ballot. People don't trust her. They don't trust our elections anymore, and it wasn't because of Donald Trump, it was because of her. She didn't say anything, because she knows. I said, this has to be remedied with a press conference. The local media has to be non-partial and non-biased. I said, they can't even do that. That's why we don't watch them anymore. I said, we need to have transparency on this, and we need an explanation. We need to know who's investigating it, what the consequences will be when it's found out who did it, and more importantly, we need to know what you know. And she said, yeah, I understand. I understand. She goes, well, I have your name and number. And then she sighed and she goes, we have a long list here. In other words, people have been calling that office, probably saying the same thing. And that's what you got to do. You got to get on these people. And I said the reason why people don't trust the elections here is because of what she did with Trump and RFK Jr. It came across as very, you know, I said, I understand you're going to say, well, you know, what she did was legal. Yeah, it was loopholed. But the point is, she went out of her way to do that, knowing it was going to look improper and show impropriety, and she did it anyway. She didn't care. All she cared about was re-electing Biden. She didn't do her job in a non-biased, non-partisan way for the people of Maine. And I told her that means that she's a Democrat willing to cheat. She didn't say anything. Because it's true. If you're willing to do that, you're going to cheat if you can. I can't trust Shenna Bellows in Maine. She should resign over this. She's running for governor anyway. You know, so she's going to oversee the election that she's running in, like Katie Hobbs in Arizona did. People are still upset they did that. So somebody in the Democratic Party here in Maine needs to talk to Governor Mills and have some friggin' common sense on this. This is not a small deal. This is a big deal. This is what I was just saying a minute ago. let's say red flag laws pass, voter ID fails. All polling shows 70% of Maine voters want voter ID. It would be one of those things like, how could it lose? It just doesn't make sense. Oh, well, people are getting ballots mailed to them illegally. Who's going to stop somebody from filling out 250 ballots and dropping them off at ballot deposit boxes? Now, I will say the state of Maine absentee ballot, you have to have a valid signature on an envelope. You can't just have a ballot and drop it off without an envelope and without a signature. So, and that has been very good, I will admit. It's all bar-coded, scanned. We're at a marked crosswalk here, and we just had about 6 cars. Can't be bothered. We're not going to stop for you, even though it's the law. So anyway, you know, that's one thing you've heard me say on my walks. You've heard me say it a lot, that I trust our elections in Maine because we have paper ballots. The only absentee ballots you can get is by contacting your city clerk, and they verify that you're a registered voter, and then they send you a ballot to an established address. We don't just send out ballots to every address in Maine or anybody that calls up and requests one. And in fact, on this number 1 on the voting, question number 1 on the voting for voter ID also includes other items in it, which includes being able to call up and request by phone for yourself or for family, making that illegal. So everybody would have to do it officially through the Secretary of State website, and that's the only way it can be done, or voting in person. And I support that. So anyways, it's one of those things. We got to have election integrity. 2 people running by behind me, joggers. So anyway, that's just one of those things. So that's something that was bothering me today, and you know, I just found out about it today, actually. So I guess it's something that broke yesterday. So I'm a day late, but definitely something worth talking about because I trust our elections. We have paper ballots. We have secure, as far as I knew. Now you start wondering, you know. She just got herself in hot water recently because she was asked about illegals on the voter rolls. And first she said there wasn't any. And then it was revealed that there are some. And then she said, well, there may be some, but you know, it's so minimal, it's unintentional, you know. So she's admitting that there are illegals on the voter rolls in Maine. She just maintains that it's not that many. Now, somebody from her office, government official, threw out a number from thin air when asked the same question, and he mentioned something about 13,000 illegals on the ballot, on the voter rolls in Maine that they know of. Now, this person wasn't supposed to say that. He gave a specific number. So you have Shenna Bello saying, oh, well, there's not that many, you know, to this person saying there's 13,000, while the Trump administration and DOJ had been investigating Maine for this, and they're refusing to turn over records and voter rolls and information, which they're going to end up doing. because the judge is going to force them to. And some people in Maine here are going to get charged, I'm sure of it, for election violations. So this is very upsetting to me that somebody can order something on Amazon and get 250 Maine ballots mailed to them by accident, and it's obviously not an accident. That's very concerning. So it's also pretty obvious that would not be the only instance that happened, right? How many other ballots were mailed out in people's packages from Amazon? Is it just Amazon? Is it boxes of stuff? Are we going to see people come forward and say they got some too, but they just figured it was a mistake and they threw them away and they didn't want to get involved? So we're going to wait and see what the backlash is from that. See how deep that goes. And yeah, it needs to be investigated for sure. So anyway, from what I understand, the seller that this person bought these from was in California. So that would explain a lot as well, wouldn't it? They can hide in California and not be prosecuted or even be investigated. So they probably have a whole central operation coming out of California nationally for different states. So that's why I say this could end up being a very big national story that's breaking in Maine first. So we will keep an eye on it, because we need to have secure elections. So my point when I called was that Shanna Bellows has already demonstrated her willingness to bend the rules, find loopholes, and cheat. And I don't trust our elections now. And I said if she hadn't have done that and this happened, I think a lot of people would have just been, yeah, okay, something weird going on, look into it, you know, not really be concerned. But with all the other stuff that she's done, you know, she looks guilty of cheating. Now, it could be that this box was supposed to go, and my non-biased fairness approach I'm going to take now on these things is it could have been going to a CCP, Chinese Communist Party member, running an illegal marijuana grow here. And they have busted up a lot of these illegal grows, arrested a lot of Chinese nationals, but there are still a lot of them. So this may have been intended for somebody running one of these grows who may be using illegal Chinese citizens as slave labor, which they have been. Hi, doggies. Hi. And they're all excited. So they may have been expecting these ballots, and the Chinese Communist Party is trying to influence our elections by helping these measures lose and making sure the Democrats stay in power, because the Democrats never do anything. They just don't do anything. They're incompetent. So we'll have to wait and see if it's something like that. There was a Chinese restaurant here in Lewiston, Maine, that was busted up earlier this year. The owner was arrested, and he was charged with trafficking humans, illegals, and he was also charged with being involved with a brothel with Chinese illegals. And it turns out they were forced slave labor out of Massachusetts and Connecticut, sent here to Maine. They're Chinese nationals, slaves. Communist Party is probably holding their families hostage back home in China. They owe money to the Communist Party, whatever it is, I don't know. But it's pretty sad that these women were forced into forced sex, basically, to finance the Chinese Communist Party, to pay for whatever it is they have to pay for with the Chinese Communist Party. And they were definitely sent here from Massachusetts and Connecticut because, as I stated, the Democrats are soft on migrations. They want these illegals, and then they don't do anything about it, and the girls being forced to work in a brothel are the victims of Democrat policies, which is incompetence, complete incompetence. So it's disgraceful, but that's what's happening. So maybe these people are the ones that were going to use those ballots nefariously, and they got sent to the wrong address in Maine. God works in mysterious ways. This may actually break out something big. Hi. So we'll see what comes of it. I'm gonna turn the camera around. Hope you're enjoying the walk today, my friends. Gotta get across the street here. You'll notice it's windy today, noticeably so. I'm borderline chilly, but I have a good sweat going. Pretty soon I'll be wearing a hoodie when I walk, with a long sleeve and a t-shirt underneath it, and I'll be switching over to my winter wool cap, my knit cap. And when it gets cold enough, I wear a neck collar that I can pull up over my face, so I will look just like somebody in Antifa. So, not intentionally, but it'll be cold. A day like this in December, let's say there's no snow and I can walk, and there's a breeze like today, high temperature is 28. It's going to feel like 20 or 18 degrees if I don't cover my face. So it takes about a mile to warm up walking, but after that your body temp goes up, and if you dress in layers you will stay nice and toasty. Anyways, my friends, that's what I had to talk about today. That was a big deal, breaking locally. Absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrendous. Shameful. Disgusting. Something that should not be happening. Just should not be. So I'll keep you informed. When I learn something, I'll mention it. You know, the problem we have with Shenabellos is we're not having transparency. Trump wants to see the illegals on the voter rolls. He wants to see the voter registration information. The DOJ is being sued by Shenabellos in Maine because they're resisting Trump's wants. And this is what Trump derangement syndrome does. While they think of it as they're fighting Trump, what they're really doing is they're not showing transparency with voters who are now thinking, what are you hiding? Why don't you just release everything and make Trump look like an idiot? So if they're not doing that, there's obviously something to be seen, right? So that would be obvious. Transparency is always what you want. Always. And they're not doing that here. She told the DOJ, literally, this is exactly what she said. She told them to go jump in the Gulf of Maine. We're not going to cooperate with you and give you that. So, what else is there to talk about today? Oh yeah, the shutdown. Oh, how can we gloss over that without talking about that? So make no mistake, this is a Chuck Schumer shutdown. This is because the radical left-wing part of the Democratic Party, which are far left extremists, radicals, got all over Schumer's rear end because he didn't want to shut the government down before. And they said he was weak and he's not willing to fight Trump. Of course, the radical left wing of the Democratic Party doesn't care about the people it affects. And they don't care about the simple fact that if the government is shut down, then the power gets turned over to the administrative wing of the United States, namely President Trump, who can then systematically go through and fire all the dead wood he wants without having to answer to Congress legally. There'll be no lawsuits to file by the Democrats. Because constitutionally, when Congress drops the ball and they're not administrating, then the President of the United States has constitutional authority to take over and do things. So we got one of these people. These are the same people that had Kamala Harris signs on their lawn, so that's not a surprise. They want you to vote no, question 1. We don't want voter ID. And they don't put voter ID on the sign. They say vote no to save absentee ballots. And I already explained why that's a dishonest sign. Because absentee ballots will not be banned. They'll be banned for people that don't have an address. They'll be banned for people who can't prove who they are. And that's why the Democrats want to keep it. So they can cheat, because Democrats cheat. So, just my opinion. So anyway, Chuck Schumer decided to allow the government shutdown. And Senator Kennedy said that somebody told him a long time ago, and he's always remembered it. If you're not familiar with Senator Kennedy of Louisiana, he's a character. He stated that somebody told him a long time ago that when you pray for rain, and you go out of your way to pray for rain, and then you get rain, you better be prepared to clean up the mud. Very good advice. Because he was saying, what are you going to do after the shutdown happens? It's going to be difficult to restart the government. And President Trump's going to have authority to fire people. And he'll do it. He's going to get rid of all of these Democrat bureaucrats he's been wanting to get rid of. I'm sure they already have a list. Would not surprise me if later tonight or tomorrow they announce a whole bunch of people losing their government jobs because funding has stopped. And they'll probably wait a little while. If this turns into a 2-week affair like it did before in his first term over the border wall, remember that one? Then we'll see what happens. But I can guarantee you that there is going to be waste, fraud, and abuse being cut by Trump, since Congress isn't going to be there to do it. And constitutionally, Trump will have the authority to do it. You know damn well he's going to do it. And the Democrats should have known damn well before they allowed the government to be shut down. And to be clear, I'm going to say this again. This is the same continuation package that was voted on earlier this year when Schumer said, you shouldn't shut down the government. We need to continue this funding. But now he's afraid of AOC. So this is all political. It's all politics. And the people are going to see that. I just saw a poll where 69% of the voters are blaming the Democrats for this shutdown already, because people understand that all they had to do was vote for it to continue it, and it's not the main budget package. So all of these ransom demands by Democrats, voters don't like that. They don't like any party trying to strong arm and blackmail Congress to have their agendas passed. So this was a very foolish, stupid idea by Schumer. And fortunately, 3 Democrats have already left the Democrat side of it and voted with Republicans. I think we're going to end up seeing more, because they're going to realize this is not good. It's not helping them. And the Republicans are just, well, you know, they're getting asked, oh, are you gonna cave in on any of this? And they're like, for what? There's nothing to cave in for. This is the same thing they voted to approve before. No, we're not going to. This is all up to the Democrats. So essential services will continue. The way the One Big Beautiful Bill was structured, the money is already there for ICE, so immigration will continue. The United States Postal Service will continue. Government, military won't get paid, but it'll be like furloughed, kind of like furloughed pay, where they'll work and they won't be paid, and then they're going to get all of their back pay in one chunk. So, plus there's also executive orders Trump can do to ensure people get their money. And I think Trump should do that. I think Trump should authorize money for the WIC program for all these welfare moms that have dependent children, because we don't want to starve kids, whether it's their parents' fault or not, right? And that would make Trump look good to people that hate him. So there's, you know, all kinds of possibilities, and that's what Trump meant. You know, sometimes maybe some good things will come out of this shutdown, and that's what he's talking about. So the other thing I wanted to mention is that woman who overdosed on Tylenol. She took a whole bottle, and I guess they're going to save the baby. And they're going to save the baby and make a final decision on that, because they only expected her to live about a little over a week, because her liver is gone now. And so they have her on a ventilator. They want to keep her alive for another week and a half at least, hopefully. They're trying to have the baby live as long as possible, because I think it's 25 or 26 weeks, something like that, for the baby to have a chance, because it's going to be a premature baby, obviously. This is really unfortunate. This is just terrible. So she's somewhere around 7 months along, and that is possible to do that, but you know, what kind of physical damage has been done to the baby because of her foolishness? I don't know. But I do know that it's a sad story regardless. I'm just glad Trump didn't tell people not to take cyanide. That would have been really terrible. Now the other thing too is Trump has been promoting THC and marijuana, because there has been medical info that has come out that it is beneficial especially in elderly people with certain eyesight problems, neurological problems, other issues having to do with dementia and things like that. So they're finding a lot of scientific information on marijuana. And I have to support scientific fact. I'm not a fan of marijuana. In fact, I don't like it. I think it should be illegal. Maine here has recreational. So we'll wait and see what happens with that. But as far as the medical uses for it, I understand there's a lot of good possibilities, and we have to entertain that. We really do. So anyway, Trump posted a video supporting marijuana. So there's the Kamala voter there with a no on one. See, these people, they're all in these blocks where they vote the same way for all things. She's a big girl. I had to check if that was a girl. Still not sure. Anyway. So anyway, he posted that video supporting marijuana. So now it's like, you know, what are these lefties going to do? They're going to start smashing their bongs. And I made a joke online that people thought was funny. I said, well, what they'll do, if anything, is they're going to start smoking their Tylenol and their bong. It's just pretty funny. Some of those bongs cost a lot of money. I don't see people just throwing them away because Trump is promoting marijuana. Mitch McConnell was promoting marijuana too. But Mitch McConnell was making millions of dollars investing in the marijuana industry, which is why he was promoting it. So these people are dishonest and corrupt until death. Mitch McConnell is on record talking about saying bad things about pot years ago. Now all of a sudden it can make him rich. So, you know, and the guy's almost dead. It's like I don't understand when you get into your 80s and you're gonna die soon. How can, you know, being corrupt and making all that money matter at that point? I mean, just going to leave it to people in your family that are waiting around for you to die so they can get your money. Probably don't even really care about them, except for a couple of close people. But I don't know. I don't get it. The things that some people prioritize is really bizarre. So anyway, I'm going to stop at the restroom up here in the park. It's nice to see these Halloween decorations popping up around town now. And, well, we're going to enjoy our lives. We got people playing some footy in the park, some soccer, as we call it in America. Very popular with the imports. So I'm gonna go up here and use the restroom. Now we got people over here using the park, which is nice. Playing soccer. They almost took me out. So I'm going to go up this way and use the restroom. Hi. So we'll go up this way. And I'll come back out in a minute. I'll be right back. Don't start without me. I survived. So we're going to watch the shutdown and see what happens. It should be interesting. I'll pull my pants up here. My ADC is pulling my pants down. So the other thing I noticed on my walks with this selfie stick is it's noisy. When I hold it up by the camera, it creaks. So I'm holding it down lower on the handle, on the rubber grip. Now the previous walk, I used the other selfie stick. They're both good. This one extends a little further. And the other one was pretty quiet, so we'll see what this one does tonight. Holding it with a different grip. So I was watching back my walk, and the noise was annoying me. So if it's annoying me, it's probably annoying someone else. So that tree there is trying to turn orange. It looks like the leaves aren't dying, so that's good. That one might actually look pretty in another week or two. We're already in October, so peak foliage for this part of Maine is October 7th to the 14th. So I checked the date last year of my best pictures I took, because I still have them, and I checked the information on each photo. It was October 10th. I took those pictures and they were beautiful. So it'll probably be about somewhere about the same, but like I said, because of the drought, I don't know. We'll find out. The other thing I want to mention is on my last walk, I played for you that clip from that kids' TV show. I'll forget the name of the show. I really could care less. But anyway, I played the clip on yesterday's walk, September 29th walk, on my playlist. And, well, since I posted that clip, Netflix has lost $10 billion in stock value. It plummeted because they did that. And the person who wrote that episode has an account on Blue Sky. He celebrated Charlie Kirk being killed. I don't even think it's a he. I think it's an LGBT activist, and I think she is actually pretending to be a he. She has a beard and everything on hormones. So Netflix, they decided to put that crap on. They're going to be held responsible for it. And then there was another show that was animated that had two girls telling each other that they're falling for each other, and they were making out in the damn cartoon. They were kissing, holding hands and making out for like a good 20 seconds. The fuck is going on with these people? We got some Halloween. We got a spooky Stegosaurus. Spooky. These are all lit up at night. It's not dark yet, obviously. So, but anyway, that's what we have. So anyway, that's the programming they're showing your kids on these TV channels. And that one wasn't Netflix. Hi. So I don't know what the deal is with that, but a freaking show about dinosaurs, animated dinosaurs with these humanoids in it. And you know, they decided to insert lesbians into it. Lesbianism serves no purpose whatsoever for the story or anything other than they're promoting an agenda. So parents don't even know what their kids are watching anymore, and I suggest people get off their asses and start paying attention and holding these people accountable for doing that, because I'm telling you, they're going after your kids. It's called grooming, okay? Grooming, that's what grooming is. You're indoctrinating children into the LGBT gender ideology, neo-Marxist, far-left extremist cult. Hope I got that all right. There's absolutely no need of that, any more than there would be to insert heterosexual people making out with each other in a fucking child's cartoon. Why are they sexualizing kids? Why is it okay just because they're LGBT to sexualize children? Because they're sick people, that's why. Sesame Street has had drag queens on it. You know, these people have gone fucking crazy. This is bullshit. You know, I thought this was, you know, getting vanquished because, you know, the networks have kind of like done an about face on that stuff, but here we are, Netflix fucking doing it again. Probably because Obama's on the board, which he is. Cancel it. I canceled my Netflix 3 years ago, Netflix, and I also canceled Prime for the same reason. So I don't know why people are re-canceling Netflix. It's like they canceled it the last time for having a grooming program, and now they're doing it again. If you cancel something twice, that means you didn't quit using them the first time. You just said you did. But anyway, Netflix did lose $10 billion in value since yesterday. So that's good. So much sick bullshit in this world, man. It's absolutely awful. Just awful. The lack of morality and common sense. You know, I'll use this as an example. Let's say they had a whole bunch of 10-year-olds in a classroom, and a teacher decided to teach the kids how to put condoms on. And I understand that's happened a couple times, so I'm not really reaching. So let's put it this way, okay? Let's say they did that, and then you had one classroom do it under the guise of heterosexuals. No LGBT, no propaganda, no flags, nothing, okay? Just regular sex education for 10-year-olds. First of all, you wouldn't see it for 10-year-olds. People would freak the fuck out over it, rightfully. Maybe at 14, sex education, learn about reproduction, how people get pregnant, without the, you know, narrative and the indoctrination with the LGBT stuff and love is love and queer this and all this other crap. Not talking about how anybody identifies. That would be okay, but they don't do that. They insert all that other stuff. So I guess my point is if you had a classroom showing how to use a condom and it was hetero, parents would be very angry about that. But as soon as you put equity, equality, DEI, LGBT stuff, you throw all of that stuff in there, then parents are okay with it because they're afraid to say they're not, because then they'll get called a racist and a bigot, and they have all the, you know, that's how they self-police all this stuff. They create an atmosphere where you publicly shame, fire, cancel anybody that goes against your narratives. So now we have people showing people how to use condoms and talking about gay sex. And, you know, it's like, it's crazy, okay? We need to remind ourselves why we are voting the way we're voting, I guess is my point for today. Don't forget what they have done. Don't forget it. They're still doing all of that legal lawsuit stuff here in Maine about Title IX and all that. That's going to go to the Supreme Court eventually. College kids using the running track. I just saw a gaggle of goyles go by. Looks like there's a whole bunch of girls wearing orange. They're either doing field hockey or soccer. I'll know when I get past these bushes. Looks like field hockey. Bates College girls field hockey team. People running, getting in shape. I'm walking, getting in shape. I'm walking and I'll call it good. So I just hit 4 miles. So I'm going to pick out a couple movies to watch tonight. I took my 5 3/4 mile route tonight because yesterday I was getting some milk and some stuff, as I told you guys about, and I ended up getting a blueberry pie. And I gotta tell you, I ate the whole full-size pie last night and I don't regret it. It was very good. I also noticed that the price had come down. I noticed that the price had come down on quite a few things. So that's good. That's good, my friends. Making progress. Ooh, sun's going away. It's starting to feel really cool. Feels like upper 50s. We're gonna have a low tonight of I think 35 to 39, which means we'll have a frost. It's really strange weather right now. I mean, that's even a little cool for this time of year. And then we're gonna get too warm for this time of year again, for like a week at least. 70s and 80s. So that's okay. We'll take her. We'll take her. No problemo. But when the sun goes down, like it's starting to right now, the sweat starts cooling off and you start feeling chilly. I'm starting to feel chilly. My sweat is starting to get cold. And I'm wearing a long sleeve with a t-shirt, so it's going to be, I mean, obviously it's going to warm up in the 70s and 80s, like I said, but next couple of weeks or so, it's going to be time for the hoodie and the knit cap. And then it'll be time for gloves and leggings underneath the pants to stay warm, stay toasty and warm. You know what's funny with the media now is they tried to play Trump's sombrero videos and try to make it racist, and everybody knows it's not racist. It's just funny. And they've been trying to turn Donald Trump into a racist since 2015. I don't know why they don't give up on it. He just got reelected, won the popular vote. Obviously, people do not believe he's a racist. Okay? That should be point number one for the media. And what they should do is say that, you know, they should have just said The best argument they would have with that is it's not presidential to post memes like that in public. You're supposed to be presidential. And they would have a legitimate argument for that. You'd have to say, well, that really isn't presidential, but that's why I like him. He's not like what we've had. Right? So it's pretty funny, you know? So anyway, I don't know why people get upset with that, but it's racist. It had sombreros in it. Vice President J.D. Vance was asked that today on the media, and was, well, it's Hakeem Jeffries is not Hispanic. How is it racist? You know, and he said, I thought it was funny that CNN went out of their way and other media outlets to call it a deep fake video and to tell people that it is a fake video. Chuck Schumer really didn't say that. And he was laughing because, you know, he told that person in the media, you know, people know. You know, I mean, you're saying that people are dumb. Obviously it's a fake video. Hakeem Jeffries does not have a big giant mustache, so, and he doesn't wear a sombrero, so, I mean, that's just comical, isn't it? So they pull out all the defamation stops. Trump is posting false information. He's posting fake AI videos, trying to make them look real. And it's like, come on. These people are past it. They're just clueless, out of touch, whatever you want to call it. They still think it's 1990, I guess. Things like that used to matter, but they don't anymore. Not with Trump. We even had a local politician here. I don't even remember what the political topic at the time was, but he got a flamethrower and he was setting things on fire with a flamethrower, and it just came across as bad. And it was a Republican, because he's trying to copy what Trump does, and he just missed the mark on it. That's not what Trump does. What's amazing to me is what the Democrats and the liberals that hate Trump, what they perceive what he does, and it's not what he does. Trump is not violent. He'll be giving a speech, you know, he'll say we need to stop what's going on because it's bullshit. So then the Democrats are like, okay, well, they seem to like it when he swears, so we're going to start swearing. So they come out and they do things like give middle fingers and say, fuck you, Donald Trump, in public. And that's not what Trump does. He doesn't say, fuck you, Chuck Schumer, and wave his middle finger. So they just don't get it. They don't find the right vibe for it, I guess. You know what I'm trying to say. They missed the mark. You can't just swear and be popular. It's not why Trump's popular. That's what they're missing. So they think if they can speak and start banging on the podium using swear words, that they're fighting hard against Donald Trump, and they just don't get it. Donald Trump is kicking your ass because of policies. Trump and the Republicans won everything last year because of policies. Not what about Trump? What about this Republican? What about that? They said this. That's not going to win you elections. I can tell you what every Democrat thinks of Donald Trump in 2 seconds. He's a fascist, he's a dictator, he's this, he's that, he's a racist, he's a bigot, he's enriching himself, he's enriching his family, he's taking advantage of the office for personal this and that. I can't name you one single policy that the Democrats are trying to promote for midterms next year. Media is not talking about it. Democrats aren't talking about it. Every time you see them on TV, It's the T word. Trump, 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 Trumpity, Trump, 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 but Trump, what about Trump? So, they are so completely lost. Completely lost. I was going to say hi to that guy, but he's listening to something on his phone. I didn't want to be rude. So now we're getting the sun that definitely looks like fall. Kind of low in the sky at sunset, which it is anyway at sunset, but it looks different. It's got more of a yellow glow to it, I guess. That's what the sky looks like in the wintertime. Because it's not time for sunset yet. It's still, sun is above the horizon, but it has the color of sunset because we're losing the sun angle. So the other night when I said I was going to cook some pasta, I didn't. But I think I'm going to tonight. Tonight would be a good night for that. Diesel. Turn the corner up here and we'll walk the last mile. Yeah, I'm getting chilly. If I end up walking tomorrow night in early evening like this, I think I'll bring my hoodie. One of my hoodies, the thinner one, I don't need a thick hoodie yet. It's not that cold. Definitely in the 50s right now though. So the amount of illegals being rounded up is adding up. Between self-deportation and people getting rounded up, it was made very clear to people that if you self-deport and then you come back here illegally, do it the legal way, then you'll be okay. So a lot of these people packed up and left the country, and they got a flight to anywhere they wanted to go, and they were given $1,000 cash by Trump and the administration. And because if they don't leave by a certain deadline, then they're going to get deported and they're not going to be able to come back. So Democrats really think that they have to pander to illegals for their voters. So you have to ask yourself, is it because illegals are voting? Or is it because that's what the radical left base wants, because they spent all this time telling their radical left base promoting illegal immigration? So I know why the Democrats did it. It's not for, I know a lot of people have theories like, well, they want these illegals to vote. Well, someday they're going to be voters because of birthright citizenship. They're going to have kids, they're going to grow up. Some of them are old enough to vote now. Their parents came here illegally. So the real reason, though, is when you have a district and they do a census, they count illegals as people living in your district. So the more people you have living in your district, the more representatives you can have in the government. And that's all they're doing it for the main reason. California would probably lose 10, maybe 12 of their 55 congressional seats. No, they actually have more than that. I was thinking of Electoral College. It's also used for that as well, by the way, because that's dictated by districts and how many representatives they have. But California's got a lot of representatives in DC. So I'm not sure the number, so I'm not going to try to bullshit something out there, but it's a lot. And you know, and it's because of illegals counted in the population in California. So the other thing I want to talk about is Zohran Mamdani in New York. So finally, Mayor Adams decided to drop out. So he's dropped out officially. And he was only polling at about 9% anyway. So now it's Cuomo against Mamdani. Mamdani is still polling better than Cuomo, because Cuomo is a pretty shit candidate. So Mamdani is probably going to win that election. And hopefully voters come to their senses. A lot of times polling is wrong. Let's hope that's the case. So let's hope that's wrong, and he in fact does lose, because you're going to have Antifa every weekend in New York, and they're not going to do anything about it. And they're going to let them do it just like they do in Portland and Seattle, Washington. So but anyway, Trump posted on Truth Social that New York's not going to get a dime of federal money if this guy wins. And Trump has the right to do that. Not a dime. And in fact, when the shutdown happened, President Trump is making sure that funds to run the public transit are cut. During the shutdown, New York City will not get any federal money. And I know why Trump's doing that. He's doing that to send a message to New York voters of this is what your life is going to be like if you vote for this mayor. So we have to play dirty hardball with these people. And that's why I love Trump. He's not afraid to do that. He's got all of this stuff going on, and his administration takes the time to think about that. You gotta love that. So pretty amazing. So we're going to finish up the last mile here. We'll have this walk in the books for today, October 1st. October, Halloween weather. Seeing more Halloween decor. People are getting in the Halloween mood. I'm going to start whipping out some horror movies. I'm going to start with 2 this evening. I don't know what I'm going to watch yet. Oh, I got a lot of of trees turning down this way. This is looking all right, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, okay. All right, that's starting to look good. I don't have a problem with that. So we're starting to get, yeah, okay, I see it. I see it now. That ain't too bad. That ain't too bad at all. Pretty awesome. Now we got that tree at the end of the street where every year it turns into a bright fire red, and a lot more of it turned red overnight last night, because we walked by that recently and it did not look as good as it does now. Still a lot of green in it, but eventually that entire tree is going to be all red, and when the sun is on it, it looks like it's on fire. And all these leaves on the ground, just like in the Halloween movies that were filmed in California. They didn't have any leaves on the ground. I watched the making of that and the commentary on the Blu-ray DVD for John Carpenter's Halloween. And they actually had trash bags filled with leaves that they would dump and spread them around the neighborhood while they were filming those scenes. And then they went back and cleaned them all up and then kept reusing the leaves, which is pretty funny. It's supposed to be Haddonfield, Illinois, and it was filmed in California. Because who the hell's going to pay to fly a crew and all that equipment across the country when you can just film it down the road, more or less? I always find that stuff interesting. So last night, I dug out my Jerry Rafferty record. Jerry Rafferty had a great record called City to City in 1978. And I remember that being on the movie theater mixtape that they would play while people were waiting for the movies to start at the Ritz Theater in Lewiston. So there was a Jerry Rafferty song on there, one of the more famous saxophone songs, I call it. Also great guitar playing in it. And the song's called Baker Street. It's one of my favorite songs, and every time I hear it, I think about paying my $1 matinee ticket to go see Star Wars in 1978 at the Ritz, because I went to go see that from when Star Wars came out, pretty much all the way up until, well, it stopped playing around 1979. Such a big movie that there was just movie theaters always were showing it. So, but I remember that song on the mixtape, Jerry Rafferty, Baker Street. And I remember the mood that song put me in before the movie started, and I liked it. So that's why I remember it. Isn't that a cool story? So I have the vinyl record. Good album. Now, Jerry Rafferty, the artist, was a wreck. Severe alcoholism. His career faded away very quickly. He really got lost in it, and it was pretty much a tragedy, really. But anyway, he made at least 3 good records I can think of. That's my favorite one, city to city. So here's this tree up ahead. You can still see green in it. Eventually it's all going to be all red. And that is a pretty looking tree. Isn't that cool? Look at that. So that's going to change pretty good here soon. Big tree. So we're going to go down this way through these other trees that are changing. So things are looking kind of nice. This is the weed store here. We end our walks at night sometimes. Which can only mean one thing. We're going to be ending the walk. So we have the trees in the background. Anyways, my friends, thank you for walking with me. Click like and subscribe. Share the content. Be good to one another. And say a prayer for Trump and the country. And God bless you and your family. And stay safe, everybody. And enjoy fall in Maine. I'll be walking around different places with some nice scenic foliage. And will be most enjoyable. So, see you later, everybody. Thank you for watching, and thank you for walking with J.Beau. Bye-bye, my friends. See you soon. See ya.